Buddy was a dog I first encountered at the animal shelter where I frequently volunteer. He had only been there a couple of days, and before that he'd been fending for himself on the streets. I can only imagine how terrifying it was to be brought there and kept in a cage for 23.5 hours a day. The first time I saw him, I noticed a warning note on the cage, telling people how frightened he was, and so how it might be difficult to get him in and out of the kennel. Far from being a deterrent, this made me want to work with him all the more. I opened the cage and, without making any eye contact, waited for Buddy to come to me. Before long he did, head lowered and tail tucked. I reached underneath his chin to let him acquaint himself with my hand, then clipped the leash onto his collar. Once we got outside, he tended to walk several steps ahead of me. He didn't pull on the lead, as so many troubled dogs do, but walked just out of reach. Each time he got out in front, I silently stopped and stood my ground, and he immediately returned to my side. While the shelter was being renovated, foster parents were needed to house all the dogs, and without hesitation, I requested Buddy. When he arrived at my house, I let him check the place out, and he promptly found my own dog's bed and made himself at home. Although he got along fine with my golden retriever, Pandora, Buddy didn't want to play with her in the first days. It quickly became apparent that Buddy had been abused in his former life. This explained why he wisely kept out of reach of human hands while on leave. There were times when he thought he was in trouble with me and would crouch and then roll on his side in submission, awaiting punishment. I cannot imagine what kind of person had abused such a wonderful, affectionate creature and then put him out on the street. I kept a record of the progress Buddy made each day he spent in my home. When he first arrived, he wanted to follow me everywhere and became extremely distressed every time I left the house. But within a few weeks, he accepted my departures with only a few barks to let me know his displeasure. I can't take all the credit for Buddy's recovery. With her antics, Pandora was able to persuade Buddy to play with her in just 4 days' time. I had never been able to entice him to play at the shelter. After a few weeks in my home, he even began retrieving a ball for me, although I suspect he did it more to make me happy than out of any love for the game. In the end, a lovely couple adopted Buddy. They prepared their home for his arrival and kept in touch with me about how to resolve behavior issues and to let me know how he was progressing. They gave him a new name along with a fresh start and brought him for occasional play dates with Pandora and me. When I see him now, I see not only a dog who is fit, healthy, and well-loved, but one who no longer fears human strangers or ducks at the sight of a raised hand. This is what this dog has deserved all along.